now is Senator Tom Cotton, a member of the Armed Services Committee and someone who's been very out front on this since the beginning in terms of what China has been transparent and not transparent about. Senator, thanks for being here tonight. So those numbers still seem to be pretty unbelievable. I mean, when you look at a 4,000 plus death rate in a country of, over a billion people, it seems unlikely given that this was the nexus of this virus, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. They said it was 4 times more than the reported cases. Maybe add a 0 after that 4 and get 40. Look, China has 4 times the amount of people of the United States. There is no way that their numbers are accurate. And in fact, their numbers have had a very significant effect in spreading this virus all around the world. If China had been upfront from the very beginning and been honest about their number of cases and ICU hospitalizations and deaths, then the rest of the world might have had its guard up earlier, might have stopped travel from China, might have been more aggressive in trying to put in place some of the measures we've seen over the last month. But because the Chinese Communist Party has been lying from the very beginning, they have helped make this pandemic even worse than it might have been. Some studies have suggested we might have cut cases anywhere from 65 to 90% all around the world if China had been honest from the very beginning.
Stunning. It's a stunning responsibility that they bear in this. I want to show you the Pew poll that shows Americans' opinion of China and how it's been impacted by this COVID situation. Now, 66%, according to the Pew Research Center, have an unfavorable view of China, 26% favorable. So how does that turn into policy changes, and does it in the United States?
Yeah, it absolutely will. China is viewed as a pariah state by the American people, and not just the American people, by the peoples of our allies all around the world. So you've seen in Japan, for example, Shinzo Abe propose billions of dollars to help bring manufacturing from China back to Japan. We should pursue a similar set of policy objectives here in the U.S., bringing back our manufacturing base, especially our pharmaceutical and medical manufacturing base. I think we should continue on to other critical fields like telecommunications. China has gotten rich for 30 years off of our manufacturing base. That would be a hammer blow to their economy. We can open up the American court system so Americans who have been grievously harmed by this virus will be able to sue Chinese officials. We can stop allowing hundreds of thousands of Chinese students to come to our universities, many of which are the children of Chinese Communist Party officials. And those things, Martha, are just the tip of the iceberg of the consequences China must pay.
But, I think a lot of people at home probably are nodding that they think those are all really good ideas, but we also have heard about these ideas from many members on Capitol Hill. And I think, we should and we can and we could. For a lot of people out there, they'd like to hear that translated into we just passed this bill and you will no longer be able to, produce. We're going to have all of our antibiotics produced in the United States, or we're going to have a 50% of them over the next 5 years. When are we going to actually hear real stuff coming out of this?
Martha, I've introduced several pieces of legislation just since this pandemic started, but even before the coronavirus, I worked a lot with both Democrats and Republicans. In fact, the issue on which Chuck Schumer and I worked the most is trying to stop China's ambitions from replacing the United States as the preeminent power in the globe. So when the Senate comes back into session on May 4th, I expect you'll begin to see a lot of action trying to check China's ambitions, trying to make them pay the consequences for unleashing this pandemic on the world and holding them accountable for tens of thousands of Americans who have died because of their negligence and malevolence.
We'll be watching when the Senate gets back to their offices on May the 4th. Thank you very much, Senator Cotton.